Hello guys. So I want us to quickly recap on what we've already done in class, especially for those who were not quite fortunate to attend the introductory class to geometric constructions. We are just going to do a few constructions. For this video, we'll only do 4 of them, and then we'll jump to the part 2 of this lecture. So number 1, we said we are going to learn how to bisect a line. Bisecting a line simply means to divide a line into 2 equal parts, right? So on this second quadrant here, I'm just going to draw a line, just a random line right there, and then you mark both ends, A and B. So we said to bisect a line, you simply open your compass to more than half the length of that line. You don't know what that length is, but you can tell that more than half. For example, if I'm focusing on A, from A, more than half would be somewhere there, right? So you open your compass to more than half of that length. That looks like it will be more than half, right? And then your compass needle at one end, I'm going to start at A, and then you draw an arc like that. And then with the same measurement, without changing the measurement on your compass, you place your compass needle on the other end, and then you draw the same arc, right? And then after that, you join the intersections, this intersection and that intersection, with a line called a perpendicular bisector, like that. So you can call that intersection point C. Point C. So now to verify that you have successfully bisected that line, you are supposed to measure. So from BC and AC, they're supposed to be equal, right? BC and AC are supposed to be equal. So to measure that, you can place your compass at one end, and then you just like that, and then there you go, right? And then part number 2 of this, we said bisecting an arc, right? So to bisect an arc, you can just open random measurements like that on your compass, and then I'm just going to draw an arc that we're supposed to bisect, just like that. And then let me mark that AB, like that. Now to bisect that arc, you can use the same principle that you've just followed for that one, right? So the one that we have entertained in class, you guys suggested that we can join both ends of that arc like this. We join both ends like this to make a line just like that, right? So if you have that line, you can easily bisect that line, and then you extend the perpendicular bisector until it cuts the arc, right? So now you can place your compass on one end like that, and then you open more than half. More than half would be something like that. Then you draw an arc like that. Let's jump into the second quadrant. That's fine. Like that. Just like that. And then you draw a perpendicular bisector. Just like that. So maybe we can call that C. So from AC, it's supposed to be equal to BC, right? Then moving on, now we're going to do how to bisect an angle. So now to bisect an angle, you simply draw a random angle right there. just draw a random angle. Then maybe you can mark both ends, A and B, like that. And then now you get your compass. And then you open just the random measurement, right? As long as it's within A, let me just write that O. As long as it's within AO and BO, just the random measurements, like that, right? Then your compass needle at point O, with your compass needle at point O, you draw an arc. Like that. Then the intersections, you can call it 1 and 2, like that. And then you open another random measurement. You can keep the same one that you just used, right? Then we place our compass needle at 1, like that. You draw an arc. Then with the same measurements, you place it on 2. You draw an arc. Now, if maybe you are dividing or you are bisecting this angle and you feel like this will make your work dirty, you can just increase the measurement on that compass. If you feel like you'll be having too much information right there, you can just increase the measurement, and then you can make that arc somewhere there. And then with the same measurements, you place it on 2 and make the measurement right there, right? And then you can call this intersection number 3. So now you join point O with 3. So now if you were to use this intersection as well, you can see that the line will pass through 3 and to that intersection as well, like that. So now you have to verify that this angle is equal to that angle. To do that, you can use your protractor. That, place it right there at O, and then 90. So the angle from 90 going this way is supposed to be equal to the angle from 90 going that way. Now it may vary maybe by a degree or 0.0, something like that. That is just due to some errors in placing the compass and something like that, right? Shouldn't be difficult. And then the last part of this section, let's say now you are given an arc, just a random arc. Just a random arc, like that. And then now you are told that you are supposed to determine the center of that arc. You were given an arc, you are told you are supposed to determine the center of that arc. So what you do is you're going to draw 2 chords, just random chords, like that. You can name the ends A and B. And then even this side you draw, maybe this side let's draw a smaller one. That will be C and D. So now what you're going to do is you will bisect each one of these chords. So now to bisect a line, let's say we start with line AB. To bisect a line, we said you're going to open your compass to more than half the length of that line. We don't know the length of this line, but you can tell that more than half might be somewhere there, right? And then you draw an arc right there. Sorry about that, the double line. Then you place it on the other end. Then you draw that as well. Then you can draw the perpendicular bisector. Like that. And then now you bisect this line DC as well. We don't know the measurement, but you can tell what more than half is. Maybe something like that. And then you draw an arc. You take it to the other side with the same measurement. You draw an arc. Then you draw a perpendicular bisector. Like that. So now where these two arcs, or what is it, where these two perpendicular bisector meet, that will be the center of that arc. Right. Part 2 of the geometric constructions recap. So in this video, for the first part of this video, we're going to inscribe a circle inside the triangle, right? So now here I'm just going to draw a random triangle, just a random triangle, a random triangle. Let's just name those A, B, and C. So if you have a triangle like that and you are told to inscribe a circle, simply means to draw a circle inside the triangle. And then the rules are that the circle is supposed to touch 3 sides or 3 sides of that triangle, right? So now if you draw your circle and you find that it doesn't touch all 3 sides, maybe it might be due to some errors in placing the compass or something like that, right? So that can happen. It is normal. So to inscribe a circle, you are going to select 2 angles and you bisect them, right? You select 2 angles and you bisect those angles. So for my triangle, I'm going to select this angle as my first angle. So to bisect an angle, you open your compass to a random measurement, right? And then compass needle at one vertex there, like that. Then you draw an arc, something like that. We can call that 1. Then we can call the other one 2, like that. And then now when you draw those intersections, as I've said in the previous video, you might find that when you draw those arcs, maybe you have a lot of things inside here and you do not want that. You simply open your compass to a bigger measurement, like that. Then you'll place your compass right there at point number 1. Make an arc with the same measurements. You place it at point number 2, and then you make another arc, right? And then you can join the intersection. You can call that point number 3. You can join C and 3 like that. In the intersection might be somewhere there. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it touches all 3 as long as you get the concept. Like that. And then you select another side. Let's say for mine, I'm going to select this side right here. You open your compass to a random measurement. You place your compass needle at B. And then you draw an arc like that. Now this will call it number 4. That will call it number 5. So again, if you don't want this to be inside your triangle, because now it will make your work untidy, you can put it outside the triangle. Just open your compass to be big enough, right? Then you place it at 5. We can start at 5, doesn't matter. You get your arc, and then now you go to number 4, and then also get that. So this will be intersection number 6. So now you join B and 6. Something like that. So now we know where they meet will be our center, right? So now we said the circle is supposed to touch all 3 sides, right? So now we know that the circle is going to be tangent to all 3 sides. So now to know the position where that circle is going to touch, if you can remember from mathematics, they said a line drawn from center will be perpendicular to the tangent, right? To the tangent to that circle. If you draw a line, well, we'll call it the radius. If you draw a line from center to the circumference of a circle, it will be perpendicular to the tangent to that circle, right? So now with that, what you're going to do is you're going to draw a line from center perpendicular to one side to find your radius, right? Now let's say we are going to select this side to be that that line that we use to find the perpendicular line. It means okay, let me just do it like this. Sorry. Let's select this side. Let's leave that one. We're going to select this side. So now if you are going to use set squares, that means you are going to, let me use this one. You are going to find one side there on that triangle, and then you make it parallel to one side of your set squares like that, right? And then now you bring the other one like this right there. That will be your 90 degrees. Then you draw like this, and you can just finish it off. Now that's where your circle will be tangent. Now if you were to choose this side, the line from here to there will be equal to the line from here to there, and also on the other side. Now you can take your compass, you place it right there, and then the pencil side to the right there, then you can draw. So now you're going to get things like this. You find that it's not really touching, right? So mine is not really touching, but I expect yours to be touching, right? So it's just minor errors there in placing the compass. Maybe like you did not place it where it was supposed to be placed and things like that, right? So, but the concept is still the same, right? Okay. And then section number 2 of this video, we are going to draw a circumscribing circle. Now a circumscribing circle is a circle that is drawn around the triangle touching 3 vertices, right? So meaning it's supposed to touch all 3 vertices of that triangle. So now let's say you have a random triangle right there again. Just a random triangle. Just like that. And then we can name this A, B, and then C. So now on the first one, you selected 2 angles to bisect them to get the center of that one. Now here you are going to select 2 sides, you bisect them to get the center of that circle, right? So for myself, I'm going to select AC as my sides to bisect. So to bisect a line, you open more than half the length of that line. I'm assuming more than half will be something like that. Like that. And then Take your compass to the other side without changing the measurements. Draw another arc like that. And then you join the intersections with a perpendicular bisector. Like that. And then I'm going to select this one. You can select that one, it's still the same thing. I'm going to select this one. Now you open your compass to more than half that length. More than half would be also somewhere there. We draw like that. And then without changing the measurements, take it to the other end. Then you draw like that. Then you join the intersections. Like that. Right there. So now where the two perpendicular bisectors meet, that will be the center of your circle, right? So now you take your compass and then your compass needle at center like that. And then you open your compass, the pencil side, to either one of those three vertices. You can take it to C, you can take it to A, or you can take it to B, whichever one that you prefer. So myself, I'll take it to C, and then now you draw. So now you'll find that when you draw, maybe your circle is not touching all three. Maybe here it's inside the triangle. That's just due to some errors here and there, right? And then the third section of this video, we are going to look at how to draw an arc to join two circles when the circles are outside that arc, right? So now what you'll be given is, you'll be given two circles, and then you are told to draw an arc joining both circles, right? Or maybe tangent to both circles. So now let's say you are given to let's say you are given two circles and they say one of those circles is 20 millimeters in radius. So we're going to measure 20 millimeters. 20 millimeters in radius. And then the other one is 15 millimeters. Now the distance between these two circles will also be given. The distance between circle 1 and circle 2. Let's say we say the distance between them is 65, right there. So now remember, as I'm continuing with this, we reference a circle from its center, not the circumference, right? So when you are asked for the distance between circles, they are asking for the distance between their centers, not circumference, right? So now you're going to open 15 like that. I'm sorry. Just like that. Now, what you are asked to do is to draw an arc that will be tangent to that circle and also tangent to that one, right? So now you have to find the position of the center of that circle, right? You have to find the position of the center of that circle or that arc that is supposed to touch both circles, right? Now, to get that position, you have to move from, let's say we're focusing on this one first. We said this one is R, use that. This one is R20 and that one is R15. So to get from here to the center of that arc, we have to add the radiuses. Now let's say the radius of that arc that they are saying you're supposed to join these two with is 40 millimeters. So now to get to the center of that radius or that arc, you are supposed to add the two radiuses because they are just touching each other, right? The situation that you have there is like this. Sorry. It's like this. Let's call that R1 and let's call that R2. So the situation is like this. We're looking for the distance between these two circles. Well, they're touching each other on the circumference, but then we said we reference a circle from its center, right? Not circumference. So the distance between these two circles will be R2 plus R1, right? So now to get to the center of that arc, you are going to say R20 plus R40 to get to that center, right? So from this side, R20 plus R40 will give us R60. So now you open 60 on your compass. 60 on your compass. That is 60. Then compass needle at the center of that circle, and then you make an arc like that. Now you are done with this one. Then you go to this other one. You have the same situation. It's an R2 and R1 situation. So on this other side, what you're going to say is R15 plus R40, which will give you R55. Now you open 55 on your compass. There's 55. Compass needle at center. Then you draw. Now that intersection will be the center of that arc. Now I know the temptation that you're going to have to want to just use a ruler to position to locate the center of that that arc, or the position of the center of that arc. It's not going to work because you don't know where that center is going to be. You are supposed to determine it. Now you only use a ruler for what you know for sure. You see, if I were to say the distance between these two, you're simply just going to measure, right? Like that. But then you don't know the position of that center. It can be here, it can be there, it can be there, it can be there. You don't know the position. So in order to locate it, you use a compass, not a ruler, right? Now, after finding the position, they said the radius is 40. So you're going to open what? 40 on your compass. That is 40. And then you're going to place it on that center, the compass needle at center, and then you draw. So mine is not touching, slightly right there, but yours is supposed to touch. I expect yours to touch, right? It's just due to some errors here and there, you know, but then it's supposed to touch both circles like that, right? And then the last section of this video, let's say you are given the same situation again. The same situation again. Let me just copy it. just bring it right here. The same situation. Now the distance between these two, let's say now is 86. Just like that. And there it's supposed to meet. Hope you remember that. Let's say for now 1 circle is 26, the bigger circle is 26 right there, and then the smaller circle is 22. These measurements are there on your notes. It moved when it fell right there. Sorry about that. Something like that. And now, instead of having the arc touching the circles when the circles are outside that arc, now you are told to draw the arc touching the circles when the circles are inside the arcs. Something like that, right? So now this is R22. That is R26. The distance here is 86. So now you also have to locate the center like you did on the other side, right? So now to locate that center, because now the circles are inside the arc, you're going to change something right there, right? Now the situation that you have here is like this. You have that, and then you have that. Let's call this R1, and then we call that R2. So now you have a situation like this. If we were to focus on one circle, you have a situation like this. Now you have to locate the position of the center of that arc, right? Now to get to that arc, the distance will be R2 minus R1, right? The position of this center of this arc that you are supposed to use here, it will be R2, the bigger R, minus the smaller r. Now let's say the r that you are supposed to use here is R100. So to get to that point, you are supposed to say R2, which is the bigger radius, minus R1, which is the smaller radius, right? So now here it's going to be, let's say we focus on this circle first, it will be R100 minus R26, which gives you R74. So you are going to open 74 on your compass. 74, just like that. And then compass needle, the center of the bigger circle, and then you describe an arc. Now we might have a problem right there with the space. Okay, and then for the smaller circle, you're going to say R100 minus R22, which will give you R78, right? Then you open 78, and then compass needle on the center of the smaller circle, and then you draw an arc. As you can see, we had the problem with space there, but the intersection is somewhere there, right? Just somewhere there. I'm just gonna take my chances and try to finish this one. And then the radius that they said we should touch both circles, they said it's 100. Now you open 100 on your compass, and then compass needle at the center that you just located. I hope I will win with this. And then you draw. Now these are the tangents that you were looking for. Thank you very much.